What's up, you guys? I'm Ashley Everett, and this is Between Us Curls. Today we have Joy Taylor, one of our favorite TV personalities out there. Girl, you're literally like my family and every man's like favorite sports woman and person in general. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, my nephew, he was like, he's so obsessed with you. We saw you at a party one time and he was like, I have to get a picture with Joy.
Aww.
I have to. And you took a selfie with him. It was so sweet.
Of course.
And then my boyfriend too, he was like, you got to tell Joy hi. I'm like, she doesn't know you, but
Well,
sure.
You know what? I love that. I love the support. So thank you. And tell him I said hello.
You're an icon, girl.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So let's jump right in. Can you talk me through your upbringing?
So I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. I am one of 7 kids, which included a lot of curly hair adventures. It was always very interesting. My mom trying to find ways to do our hair. My mother is a white woman and does not have curly hair, but was always trying to figure out different ways to do our hair. Mm-hmm. And there were some long nights with some conditioner and a couple balls of whatever on the back of your head.
Yeah, girl, tell me about it.
But yeah, so I grew up in Pittsburgh. I played a bunch of sports growing up. I played basketball, soccer, volleyball, and ran track.
And your whole family is like sports family.
Yeah, definitely a sports family.
And what moment did you realize that you wanted to get into sports journalism, hosting, and just all things entertainment?
I grew up obviously watching a lot of sports. As I mentioned, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so we were always watching the games, always watching the Steelers.
Yeah. And
it was a big part of my upbringing to be watching sports and consuming sports media. And when I went to school for broadcasting at Barry in Miami, I really knew that I wanted to get into the opinion side of things. When I was in college and interning, I interned at a sports talk radio show, a morning show. And then I also interned at a music station doing a music morning show, music entertainment morning show. So I got a really good
feel for like what you wanted.
Right. And now obviously everything crosses over movies and sports and entertainment and artists. Like everything is everything is just entertainment.
Yep.
I got in on the radio side because at the time, radio was really the space available in the media business to have a personality and to talk long form. Mm-hmm. Now you can do podcasts, you can do digital shows, there's a ton of opinion, television shows, there's different networks. It was very limited at the time, and I really wanted to build the muscle of talking. And I felt like if I got in directly on the reporter or sideline space or beat reporter or something like that, it might prolong me getting to the space that I'm in now. So that's why I started on the radio side.
Did that help secure your spot in the co-host position with the 790 AM show?
Yes.
It did?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I was in that position because I was the executive producer of the show, and I was the executive producer because I was the part-time producer for another show, and I was the part-time producer because I interned at the radio station where I got the part-time producer job.
Yeah.
So being in the building is super important. I obviously, everywhere that I had been, I had made it very clear, like my goal is to be on air, my goal is to host, my goal is to be, an opinion host, a talk show host. And I burned that into anyone's brain who would talk to me. Like, this is what I'm trying to do. Like, I know I'm doing this, but this is what I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm. And all the while was blogging and doing, any other outside work to continue to develop my reel and get experience on air, whether it was doing weekends or whatever, doing updates. So yes, all of that experience not only put me in the position to be able to get that job, but also helped me be ready to take that job as well.
So speaking of alignment and setting yourself up for success, at what point did you receive the CBS sports hosting position?
So that was probably, I want to say maybe a year or so into me doing the radio show with Zaslow. So it's CBSSports.com. They have their studios in South Florida, some of their studios in South Florida at the time. And that was a great opportunity for me because one, I was able to do it on top of doing the radio show.
Wow.
As my primary show. Yes. But also, as we all know in the business, it's good to have more than one job.
Oh yeah, always you gotta say yes to a lot of things.
You gotta say yes. But no, it was a great experience for me working with them because also it was TV.
Yeah.
And it was a digital show as well, so it was on camera.
Tell you more about that.
Yes, which is completely different than doing radio, where I would roll out of bed and not
Doesn't
do
matter
much.
what you look like.
It doesn't matter because nobody can see you.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't have to be on camera, so it was really good for me to not only keep, developing myself as a talent, but also now I'm on camera. I'm doing live on camera. It was great for my, resume as well, because it's a big time network, and the shows were really well watched.
How important would you say it is for people while they're young and while they have the hustle and the energy and the time and the sacrifice, all of it, because that's what it takes? What would you say the importance of that is for the other younger generations, or if you were giving advice to somebody else?
I want to pick my words carefully, because I don't want to encourage hustle culture or like the girl boss craze that we all got super excited about.
I know.
Which we maybe need to course correct a bit.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. We have to find the balance.
We have to find the balance there. I will say this. I think it's nicer and easier for me to say, I can find balance now because I'm at this phase in my career. So I'm like, I'm gonna take those vacation days. And you can be more selective when you're at certain phases and certain places in your career. I definitely think that you should do that. I think work-life balance is extremely important. If you're burnt out, you're not going to be good at work. And then you're not gonna be good at home. So there are some things and ways that you can sort of manipulate your time and energy so that you are successful in every area of life. Because at the end of the day, while your career is super important and a big part of your identity in a lot of ways, so is your personal life. And so are the things that matter to your spirit.
It doesn't fully define us. Even though it is part of our identity, it doesn't fully define us.
It is a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of taking jobs that you don't necessarily want, and a lot of maybe doing things that you don't necessarily want to do. And I do think that there is, I don't want to sound like an old fuddy-dud, but there is a little bit of an attitude of like, I'm too good to do this, or I'm too good to get coffee, or I'm too good to do this or that. And it's like, you aren't, though. There is a process to things, and process matters, and experience matters.
It does.
And you never know what this particular job, with this particular relationship, with this particular experience is going to add to your future.
Yeah.
People remember how you show up. They remember how you treat people when you were there. They remember how eager you were to learn or to contribute. Colin Cowherd is a talent that I worked with for a long time, and obviously still work with at Fox, but particularly on his show. And he says this all the time: most of the decisions about your future and your employment will be made when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
So how do people talk about you when you're not in the room? What do people think about your work ethic? What do people think about how on time you are? What do people think about how you get along with the people that everyone else doesn't get along with? But no, it does matter. I don't want to encourage people to hustle so to the point where they don't have any life.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of work. You're going to make no money for so long.
Yeah.
And everything that you do along the way super matters.
Yeah. So you were in Miami for about a decade, and then decided to come to the West Coast, to LA, to the Fox Sports team. What was that transition like?
Coming to LA, I wasn't working on a daily show when I moved here. So I was going from doing a daily radio show in Miami and CBS and whatever else I was freelancing on at the time, to filling in on the herd and like coming in for meetings, on top of not knowing anyone in LA and like moving to the other coast of the country, which I had obviously never lived on or spent a lot of time on. So it was a big transition. But
how did you land the job? You auditioned, you said.
Yes. So I auditioned. At the time, they were auditioning a bunch of people in the industry because they were sort of overhauling the shows on the network. Yeah. And we're taking it in a new direction. So I came in to audition, and then we would just do a pretend segment. And, you know, the executives just observe and, you know, we'll watch the tape and whatnot. But yeah, I was just like, if I'm going to be hired here, I'm going to have to be myself. I was like, I'm not going to pretend to be what I think they want. And it worked out. So
those are the ones that always work out, when you just are you and you genuinely are just authentic to your true self.
Yeah, because then it cut through, which is why
they feel it. They feel authenticity. You know?
Yeah, they do, and I think that's something that's why I always encourage it in other people. It's so easy to think that you need to be like somebody else, or that you need to sound like someone else, or dress like someone else. And certainly, I think you should study greats and what they do and their habits and you know how they present and you know what they do every day and all of that. But what makes anyone cut through is the uniqueness of you. Yeah. I just kind of went for it, and here we are, almost 8 years later, so.
You have interviewed some of the most legendary and massive icons in sports. Do you have a favorite interview? And if so, can you share it with us?
So
or
I have
a couple, maybe?
I think I have 3. Magic Johnson was incredible.
Amazing.
I was on Undisputed at the time, and he's just such an impressive person. Like, he knows everyone's name in the room. I don't know how, but like when someone that famous and important says your name, you're like, oh wow, like it's very disarming. Like, oh okay, like you're really on it. Like, you're a billionaire. You don't even know who I am. But Magic is just incredible. He's like such a big presence. So he was pretty amazing to interview. Allen Iverson, I was super excited when I was working on the Big Three. I got to interview him because he was a part of the inaugural season. And I mean, Allen Iverson was like my idol growing up.
Yep.
So just being able to like be in the locker room talking to Allen Iverson was absolutely crazy. And then I did the sideline for a Rams Seahawks game a few years ago. So we talked to Sean McVay, who at the time was, I think, the youngest coach in the league. Is a very young person in charge of this massive $1 billion organization. And he was very similar to Magic in that he knew everyone's name. Every time you asked a question, he would say the name back to you, answer the question very intentionally. You know, these guys do this every week. Like, they could be like, just say a bunch of nonsense and go back about their day. They're very busy people. But he was just very intentional about it. It was very impressive, especially for such a young person being in that space. I was like, okay, I see why I got the job.
Totally.
Like, this guy is super smart.
He probably had a great mentor.
Yes, he did. He did have great mentors.
You've also dipped your toes in the humanitarian space. Can you tell us a little bit about your nonprofit?
I started volunteering with Beauty to the Streets, which is a homeless outreach program. I was doing some work with Shirley there and a couple other organizations, and people would always ask me, like, how can they help, or how can they volunteer, how can they donate? And I was sort of sending people in a bunch of different directions, so I wanted to streamline everything that I was doing with all the nonprofits that I was working with to one place, and then also be able to have, you know, some events and outreaches that I put together as well. So I started the foundation, which is the Joy Taylor Foundation. I'm also a domestic violence survivor, so part of the mission of my foundation is domestic violence awareness, youth empowerment, and homelessness. So all of the programs that we work with, or all of the events that we have, are centered around those 3 pillars. So it's great to be able to give back to the community, and you know, I obviously want to use my platform wherever I can to spread awareness as well. So I know sometimes people get very like testy about that, like, if you post, it doesn't count. I'm like, yeah, it does. Actually,
it does.
That's how you get people to donate and spread awareness, and so
spread awareness.
So all of that's just important to me. I want to try and remain balanced in spirit in everything that we're doing. So that's why I started it.
I love it. And what's next for Joy Taylor? You have so much to do still, I'm sure. But yeah, what's next? You got anything else?
I mean, I just want to keep growing in the business. I have, you know, some big aspirations to be able to provide platforms for other people as well. So I don't think I'm finished just yet. I'm not.
Definitely not. You're only getting started.
Yes, but I'm also very happy at where I am in my life and in my career at the moment. I've found that practicing gratitude is super important, especially in our business. It can get very scary to feel happy about anything because one, you don't want to get too attached because obviously things constantly change, but it also kind of gives you this weary feeling of complacency, or that you're not going to keep improving if you enjoy where you are at the moment. So I'm very happy with the show, with the success of the show. It's what I've worked for my entire career to get to a space where I am equal to all of the men on the show on a sports opinion space, which is very
That's right, because girl, you are doing it. You're paving the way for
you.
So many of us.
Thank you. And I would like there to be more. So as you guys can see, executives, we can do it. So hire more women. But yeah, so I'm happy, very, very happy with the space that I am in personally and professionally. You can have it all. I know that sounds like very cliche, but you can. It's just, you know, you might have to trim a little here or there to figure it out. But it's all worth it to do something that you love, and I feel very blessed to do that.
Totally. And reflection is key, you know, especially in this industry. Everything is always moving so fast, and we're always pushing forward onto the next thing. We can't even live in the moment because we shoot stuff months before it even comes out, you know? So once it comes out, you're like, I'm not even thinking about that. So reflection is so important, and I commend you for your career so far. I applaud you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
The mountains you're moving and the paths that you're creating for women and young women to come up under you. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, girl.
I'm Joy Taylor.
I'm Ashley Everett.
And you got the scoop on Between Us Curls.
Make sure you subscribe to Curly Culture for more curly content.
Hey you guys, what's up? I'm Ava Pearl, founder of Curly Culture, a community for people with all types of curly hair, from a 2A to a 4C. Let us know what you guys want to see in the comments below, and we'll see you guys on our next episode. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.